I just want to talk briefly about a project I've been working on over the last while. It's CsoundAU. This allows you to run C-Sound instruments or effects as audio units for use within Logic, GarageBand, Ableton Live, etc. You can download it here from GitHub at github.com/edc/csoundau, but I'm sure I can leave a link somewhere in video comments or such. So it depends on Xcode 6 or newer. I assume it's Xcode 6 or newer because that's what I've been working on, and I'm not sure whether the project will run on anything earlier than that. You also need something to test your audio units with. You can get AU Lab, which is part of the audio tools for Xcode download from apple.com. You can get that at their developer downloads page. You can also use an audio unit host like GarageBand, but I find AU Lab is better in some instances because it starts up a lot quicker, and when you're testing that can get annoying if you're waiting for ages for the program to start up. And then obviously you're going to need C-Sound because it relies on the C-Sound API. So when you download the project, you'll get an Xcode project that can build two different kinds of audio units. You will see CsoundAU Effect and CsoundAU Synth. You also see that here in the targets as well as the targets for the UIs. So you can, using this UI, it's possible to build a C-Sound effect or a synth just using your .csd file, and then you can specify parameters using a JSON file and presets also using a JSON file. And I'll explain a bit about that now. So although audio units are obviously used to affect or generate sound, an important property of the units is that you can alter different controls within an audio effect or synthesizer. So on the audio unit side, this is done through either the standard audio unit UI or through a Coco UI by interacting with the sliders and the buttons. On the C-Sound side, the result of these interactions is input through the CHN get opcodes or the channel get opcodes. So yeah, let's just look a bit at a parameters.json file. So in audio unit terms, any of these controls are referred to as parameters. In the CsoundAU API, parameters are defined in this file here. The JSON is formatted as an array containing parameter objects. You can see the open and close array brackets there. And each object must contain a field for a name. You see here, for instance, this has a name of attack. A minimum value, you see the minimum value here is very small, 0.00001. Your max value, which is 1, and a default value, which is somewhat halfway, 0.5. You can also, there's also a number of additional parameters that you can add in, but I'm not going to go through them right now. So you're gonna have a number of parameters probably in an instrument. So for say for instance a synthesizer, for an ADSR envelope, you'll have parameters for attack, decay, sustain, and release. Say for an effect, you could have, like, say a delay effect, you'd have delay time, feedback, mixing kind of controls. So yeah, that's basically parameters. You'll also want to have presets in your audio unit, which is just a configuration of parameters. So here, for instance, we only have one parameter, so it's going to be a pretty basic preset. Again, you can see it's an array with an object in it, and the presets objects need to have values for name. That's the name of your preset. See here, it's slow attack, and the actual preset value. So this is actually another object that will specify what the values of the parameters. So we have a parameter called attack, and here I have just an extraneous comma here, I'll remove that there. So we want attack to be at 0.9, which is a slow attack because it's going to take 0.9 seconds for our attack to reach the peak in an ADSR envelope, which this is a part of. So so you have your parameter, your attack, and then a preset for that parameter. So let's just have a look at the CSD file that this is a part of. So as you can see, we have a MIDI input here, and in instrument 1 we're taking in our CPS MIDI, so we're getting the hertz value from the MIDI. We're getting a MIDI amplitude, which we are multiplying. We're sort of saying 30% of the amplitude, and then we have our CHN get, which is taking a value from attack. Now this is the most important part of this, because we have specified here in our parameters where the name of our parameter is attack, and we need to have this exact name here in our CHN get. So whenever we move the attack slider on our audio unit, that value will be sent in through the CHN get opcode, and it can be used within the C-Sound synthesizer. So as you can see, we have our attack. I have a release value hard-coded there. And then to a VCO2 oscillator, and then we have our MADSR envelope. Multiply our audio out from the VCO2 and then output it. So that's basically it. We can load that up and see what it sounds like in GarageBand. So GarageBand is just going to start up here. You can see actually that's a Coco UI, but I'll talk about that in a second. This is for GarageBand at least, this is the standard audio unit UI, which will come default without you having to design it. It's just sort of programmatically created for you. So as you can see, we have our attack knob here. I can type using the musical keyboard, and we should be able to hear changes. So a somewhat slow attack there, and then if I move the attack all the way to the left, so barely any attack there. So that sounds good. Can we see the presets in action? I'll just show you that. So although it says slow attack, we've altered that so it's not actually configured to do the slow attack. So we can see here factory presets. Preset 0 is slow attack. I click on that and it'll pop the attack up to the value that we specified, which is 0.9. You can see it in the Coco UI. You can also see it here in the standard default audio unit UI. And just to prove that it worked, wait, here we are. Yeah, nice and slow attack. Okay, anyway, so what I can do now is I can start talking about the audio unit UI using Coco. So although you can completely specify an audio unit using just your CSD file, parameters and presets, you can also, if you want to make it look pretty, you can use like the C-Sound, you can use the Coco UI. So if I have a look here at the CsoundAU synthview.zip file, you can see that I have a view, and inside it I have put a slider. This is my attack slider here. We can look at the properties of the slider. So what you need to kind of do is you have to join up or at least have the properties the same here as they are in your parameters. So say you have your parameter minimum value 0.0001, max value 1, default value 0.5. These have to be mirrored over here, so you can see the minimum, I was 1 0 short. There's my minimum there of 0.00001. We have a maximum of 1, and our current value or default value is going to be 0.5. What's also important in sliders for synthesize, but you can turn it on if you want, but you would want it is to have this as a continuous value. So instead of the value being updated only when you release the mouse click, the value is constantly updated as you move the slider up and down. Right. So this is joined to the CSound running instance using an NS view. This is specified in CsoundAU synth view underscore UI view in the project here. I can open that up. So you can see this actually is a subclass of CsoundAU view, which does most of the work for you in the background. So what we have is in the interface, we have connected up our slider to this interface builder outlet here. As you can see, it's connected to the attack slider. I don't know if I can show you using the assistant editor here how it's connected up. So if we can get it, so if where I'm at the view factory now, if I go to the UI view, we can see that, yeah, the attack slider is connected up to this NS slider called attack. Now, so if I turn this off, this is our slider in our zip file. And then you have to implement a method called register parameters. And what that does is any of the values that are being sent from the slider will be in turn dispatched to the running CSound instance. So basically this method takes two arguments. The first argument is an NS string that matches again the name value of your parameter. So you have attack and you have to copy that exactly here. It's an NS string, so it's prefixed with an @ symbol, so you have your attack. And then for outlet, this accepts any NS control. An NS slider is a subclass of NS control, so you put attack there, and then you're good to go. So that's basically how it works. And in order to maybe clarify some of the points here, I can actually go about the process of adding another, slider to the project. So as you can see in the synthesizer, all we've got is one attack slider, which is not very useful. Maybe we want a release slider as well. So what I can do is I can add that on and just go through the steps of how it's done. So first of all, we're going to need to specify that in our parameters. So what we can do is we can actually copy this parameter object and just paste it. And then what we're going to do is rename this to release. And we're going to just reuse those values. So you have 0.00001 as the minimum value, max value is 1, and default value is 0.5. I'll just indent them a little bit. Okay, so that's that there. Maybe I want to add something for a preset. So we can say slow attack is a 0.9. Maybe we'll have a long release for that as well. So we add release for 0.5, for instance. So we can rename that as slow attack long release. And then obviously you're going to want to be able to have CSound know what the release value is. So we go to our CSD file, and then instead of iRelease being just equal to 0.01, we go chn get release. So now that I've added the release parameter using a chn get opcode to the instrument in CSound in our CSD file, if we build this, the release parameter should show up in the default audio unit GUI in in GarageBand. So let's just have a look here. Yeah, we have our release knob here. Sometimes this won't actually show up for whatever reason. It seems to be caching the UI. So if it doesn't show up for you, just reinstantiate the CSound audio unit just by maybe you going to a different audio unit and then back again. So let's just see here if this is working okay. So we just get up to musical typing. We have our long attack and then a bit of a release there. We can make the release a little bit longer. And then let's just move the attack again. Let's be sure that our factory presets are working. Yeah. Yeah, so that seems to be going great. So obviously you want to connect up your Coco UI as well. So let's just do that to finish it off. Let's just stop that from running. And now I want to open the zip file that has the UI in it. So what I can do is I can grab a slider, say a vertical slider, just throw it there. I'm going to give it a minimum value of 0.0001, a maximum of 1, and a current value of 0.5. Make it continuous. I'm just going to move this attack label over. I'll get another label as well, just to be, so it's not confusing us. Release. What's that on there now? Okay, Grant. So we have our release slider, and we want to connect that to this CsoundAU Synth View class. So what I can do is open up the zip again, just to make some room here, and control drag from the slider to the interface, insert an outlet. I call it release, and then what we want to do is just do our set parameter for outlet. So I can just enter the parameter name and then specify what slider I want to use, and then we should be good to go. So hopefully this will work. Let's see what it looks like in GarageBand. So the release slider is there. Let's see if it's connected. Well, it's definitely connected to the UI for the standard audio unit UI, as you can see there, because I'm moving the knob there. And if I just get the musical typing up, move it. Yeah, that seems to be working. Excellent. So that's the general process there. What you want to be doing is, obviously, the most important part is your CSD file, where you specify your synthesizer or your effect in an instrument there. But then when you want to control it, you're going to be using your CHN get opcodes and using the exact name of the parameters that you've specified in your parameters.json, like here. You got your min, max values, default values, and then if you want to add in a preset, you can do so in the presets.json, just like so. So it's not too difficult, and yeah, the process for doing an effect is pretty much exactly the same as doing this synthesizer. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully it's easy enough to get one together yourself, and thanks for watching.